On today's show, it's our 1 year anniversary. On today, we're going to reflect a bit on the wild ride so far, and then we're going to answer some amazing questions sent by our audience. From AGI theories to what the future of jobs might look like. So we're going to dive into some big ones. I'm Daniel,
I'm Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience. So quite crazy that we've been doing this for a year now.
Yeah, it is a bit crazy. It's it's hard to think that we keep up to this day. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I remember when we were starting out, we were thinking, okay, let's just set up like a small goal. Let's just try to do 10 episodes because most podcasts don't go beyond the 10th episode. Everybody, it's hard, right? You have to keep. You need consistency. So we decided, okay, let's just try to do 10, and then after the 10th, okay, maybe we should do a bit more. Let's just continue, and then at some point, it's a year. And of course, last week we skipped the episode last week because I was sick, and then you were like there was so much going on your side. So we decided to kind of like make this anniversary episode like a combination of the episode from last week and in a longer period today. And yeah, it's exciting. I honestly didn't think we would go this far.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine when you start a project, um, because it was, we were discussing so much about AI. We were so excited that we were like, why don't we record the conversations and just like see what can happen?
Scarce you know,
Uh,
but
then after a year, that's we're still keeping up, and we have plans to continue to make more stuff around it. So it's a nice idea. I think it's a nice way of thinking.
yeah, let's just reflect a little bit in at least in this first part of the episode how yeah how many things changed, right? Because trying to keep up with AI is a very daunting task because there's new tools every day, and so you cannot keep up with all of them. So you have to choose your battles, which ones you're going to try, which ones you're going to test, and yeah, and just by last week, the week that we are both kind of out, there was two big things. One coming from Google with Google I/O, and
Google
uh,
View 3, sure, that was crazy. They released. I have watched so many videos that they're really nice. Like people saying it's not AI, and think and talking as they are like they have conscience. The people on the video trying to say like I'm stuck at here. It's all your fault. We're not real or stuff like that. So, and I have seen some Bible videos that they were so funny because it looked like people in the Bible stories, doing selfies and talking about what's happening. It's so nice how people are creative and using the tool in a funny way. So Google View is for me is a revolution, like because we are getting in a really good point of AI and video generation. So I'm really excited. Actually, I want to try this tool. I haven't yet, but
yeah, it was quite. I mean, they really went ahead last week. So you miss 1 week of AI, and then
yeah,
the whole world like changes. So
like the end of the year,
yeah, it's
the predictions that we were trying to do like for this year. I remember that episode. We were like, no, I think robots are not coming this year. I think things are gonna take a little bit longer, and then the week after the New Year's, everything changes. So in the first 2 weeks, there was so many launches. Like I think ChatGPT launched like O3, and then DeepSeek came like putting the everything down, so that was a crazy week, like a crazy month, like on January. So it's hard to make predictions. That's what I what I think. Like,
Yeah, we. That's why we we try not to. We're gonna try and focus more on what you can do with tools, right? With these tools that we already have, than try to guess where we're heading to, because it's really hard. Of course, you have some grasp of where the technology is going, but we don't look at benchmarks anymore, because they every week there's a new way to beating the previous benchmark. So they're just, it doesn't matter anymore. And there are also some people say that they are not reliable, because those benchmarks are easy to cheat, let's say. So it's not like the best reliable form to measure how good those tools are.
yeah,
But looking back, right? Um, Remember when we talked about Klarna?
yeah,
It was one of our first episodes where we covered basically that they were adopting AI massively to in all their advertising and processes, right? And the CEO made a big deal about it, that they're going to they're going to stop hiring, they're just going to focus on AI, and then cut to now.
yeah,
That was almost a year ago. They are in financial trouble. Maybe that's not necessarily in regards only to the AI strategy, right? But based on the way the company is set up, where they basically they borrow people's money so they can pay installments, right? And then, but they rely on people paying you back, right? And that's not happening apparently. A lot of people are kind of like boycotting and not paying them back, so they are struggling financially, apparently. And then there's the whole AI discussion around, where they said that they will replace all their customer service with AI.
yeah,
People really got really mad, and then they demanded that they wanted to speak with other people, and then they had to kind of go back.
yeah. It's not an easy
So
process. It's um, here in Brazil, we have a lot of problems with robots talking to you, like in the customer service. So we all want to talk with a real person. So I do believe that the same have happened, because some problems they're not pre-programmed. I think most of the problems you cannot solve with these Q and Is, or these, it's kind of frequently asked questions. So that's how they base the robots. So I totally understand the clients. I'm not a client of Klarna, but I do relate with them.
yeah, and at least if you are struggling to get your problem solved, you should always have the option to speak to a person, right? I think that's common sense. So yeah, they kind of um, paid the price for taking such a bold decision. And I mean, there are others doing the same, right? Like a couple of maybe a month ago, Duolingo also mentioned that they're going to stop hiring contractors, and then they're only going to hire new people if the teams can prove that AI cannot do the job.
That's crazy. Yeah,
And because of that, they had to block their TikTok account for comments, because people were really mad and they started trashing the company. And so we're in this moment when there's a lot of, uh,
societal.
there's still a lot of backlash against AI, right?
Yeah, but I understand, like, that people get mad instead of like trying to improve. I might be cancelled. But to be honest, it's easier to complain than just like change. That's as human beings, we always try to be in the comfort zone all the time. So when the change hits your door and knock your door, you can complain, or you can accept, or you can just like, okay, I need to improve my skills in these situations. So it's always like a complex decision making, that we need to do. and many people they have other problems, of course. Like here in Brazil, there's people that do not have access to these tools. They're not, they don't have, how can I say, like they are not educated enough, to understand how important it is to have these tools in your hand and how can it improve your work. And some people work with their hands, they have like this labor, like more simplistic labor. So so depending on the reality of the person and the education level, it changes the whole scenario, so it's understandable.
Yeah, and it's I mean, we've been talking about since we started the podcast, like about, I mean, we started the podcast because we wanted to document the process of testing these tools and learning these tools, and then share what we've learned, right? And I think we kind of, that's what we've been trying to do, at least. And since then we've been trying and hopefully encouraging everybody that listens to go out there and test these tools, try it out, because it's so easy to, the fear of unknown, right? If you don't know it, how it works and how you can use it, then of course you might, you know be afraid of it, or afraid that it would take your job, or that you, but it needs to start somewhere, and it has to start with curiosity.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
But just trying to go back a little bit, like, do you is there any episode that you would like to highlight that really made a change in how you think AI, or something that somebody said that it was really interesting? Would you like to what would you think?
I think that the episode that make me think about it, and I was like kind of just listening. I was like an spectator of the episode, somehow, It was the Daniel Fraga when he brought like the ontological and all these philosophical questions, And so that was an episode that made me think about how we relate, how can we connect not only people but uh, a lot of stuff, So that was pretty much an philosophical episode that make me think and make me rethink about some stuff. And even in the episode, I think I just got a a thought that was kind of a bit out of context, but it was because of these thoughts, that I was having while listening to Daniel. So that was a really nice episode. What about you?
Yeah, we can link those episodes in the show notes
Yeah,
for a shortcut. Yeah, that one was quite interesting because it went the philosophical way. Another one that I thought it was really interesting, it was the basically 3 weeks ago, where we discussed about the Dali commercial. I thought it was really interesting to see their the both creative directors' perspective on how they were approached by Google, and how they designed the process. Of course, they in that case they started not with the idea, but they started with the tool,
yeah,
which is not very often that happens in advertising. But it was interesting to see that point of view, and then how they actually accomplished the whole process. So it was quite. I thought it was awesome. But I think another episode that I really enjoyed was with André Matarazzo,
yeah,
the one about his Japanese design shirt brand, that he was creating all the assets and all the t-shirt designs and all the social media posts with AI, and then he opened up the process, and we also had a very interesting creative discussion in regards to how uh, yeah, these tools are completely changing the way productions are made. And then, of course, the last episode with Dali,
yeah,
Salvador Dali, kind of like reinforced that, right? Because that was basically a $10 million production that basically they did it with a few $100. So
yeah.
it's It's insane.
And I think I was like reflecting, yeah, the last 2 weeks ago episode with the Dali Museum project was super impressive too. And then I was just thinking, because we mentioned that Google launched Google View 2 or Google View 3, I think. And if they have used it this last, the Google View 3 before everyone have used it, we can ask them the next episode that they will come, to our podcast. So because I'm really curious if they have like access to an exclusive tool before everyone else, or they just use the previous version that was already super powerful.
I don't think they did it. I think that back then maybe it was a View two, but I think people got early access maybe 1 or 2 weeks before the View three was announced on IO last week. So and the commercial was done like months ago. So I think they already did a really good job with the VO2 and Google. I mean, I think Google's video AI generation is quite it's making a big mark. We're now waiting for all the others like Sora and all the other competitors to you know to see if they can actually get there, because I think they really made a mark. So just by so we don't go too much of on a
Yeah,
tangent, right? Is there any tool that AI tool that we talked about in this last year that really made a change for you, or then you, or that it made you use it and it changed the way you use this AI tool? Is there anything that you were that it was an outlier, let's say?
I continue to be impressed by OpenAI. So for me, ChatGPT is still the tool that I most use it, not only for text now, used for image generation. So I think they got in a really good level, and I think I'm so used to the tool that it's kind of the tool that that makes me more comfortable to use. So for me, it's easy for just go straight with ChatGPT. But I'm impressed with Google View. So for me now, it's the next step, to try and to make it work. What about you?
For me, I think is Notebook LM, which is also Google. I think Google is positioned itself strategically really well in the AI scene as the platform where you go for multiple tools. It doesn't mean a lot of people criticize Gemini, right? They're not as good as Claude and ChatGPT, for example, but if you get to pay one subscription and have access to all these tools, maybe you can make Gemini work, right? So it's something to think, and then I think they're positioning themselves in that way. But Notebook LM for me is fucking fantastic. I love it. I've been using more and more, especially to summarize or to complex or summarize large chunks of text. And sometimes we have to write episodes about reports and things that are going on that are just massive amounts of information, and it does that distill that information for you in a great way. Plus they can generate podcasts which we used
Yeah,
twice in previous episodes. The Christmas episode, it's basically a podcast generated with Notebook LM, and most recently that big AI 27 essay that was also generated on Google Notebook LM. So I love that too.
yeah, it is a quite impressive too. And the story that we told like 3 weeks ago with this 27 report, that was really good, and really impressive how they tell the story, and the story itself it's quite intriguing. So it is nice. So please go take a look, in this episode. Um,
We're gonna link all of them in all the episodes that we're highlighting here in the show notes, so it's easy. If you land in this episode, you can just go easily to the
Oh,
others.
great, great.
So yeah, maybe just to finalize this part, so we can go to the Q and A. Has any favorite part of doing this podcast? What will be the highlights for you? What do you enjoy the most about doing this,
That,
recording these episodes and talking about this?
for me, it's to talk to you, because we already talk a lot like about the AI before, and we're just registering our normal conversations, let's say, of course, in a structured way. But we used to do that before, like more than a year ago, we called each other and then we were like discussing, have you seen that? And then, well, what about that? This too, about that too. The way we're discussing how to do and how to improve our work, and how can we use it to do other stuff. So I think that's my favorite part of doing the podcast, is to get in touch with amazing people too. Like, when we call other specialists in the area, and then we discuss with them how they're using the tool. As you mentioned, like the Dali Museum one, the recently interview that we did, it was so amazing, to see how the approach of Google, as you mentioned, and how they use the tool to create a video, and reproduce the Lee voice, and the Lee style. So it was such a enriching experience, So for me, interviewing people is one of my favorite parts of the podcast, and talking to you, of course, is the other one.
Nice. For me, I think it's a bit of the same. Just by talking to different people and seeing their experience, right? Learning this emerging technology, right? How they are solving the problems that, because AI is limit. There's a lot of limitations, even though there's a lot of capabilities. So it's easy to see how people are overcoming those. And and of course, just by testing these tools, exploring where it's heading, right, and discussing that with you all the time. So it's been quite of a interesting ride. Awesome. So, and just before we go to the Q and A, there's two things we would like to talk about. One of them is that we are planning now the next year, right? Because we're gonna keep doing this, and there's a lot to come. There's this the AI scene hasn't been, it's quite a ride to talk about AI. So there's plenty to come as well this year as well. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of interesting things, and we're going to keep experiment like we did with some different AI tools where we recorded episodes, generated podcast episodes from Notebook LM, for example, or having a narrator narrating things from using 11 Labs narrators. And so we're going to keep experiment and playing around with these tools, and then you're going to see the reflex here. Second thing is that we wanted to do another experiment. So we're launching a Patreon for our most dedicated listeners. We were calling this Patreon founding members. So if you're enjoying the podcast and if you want to support what we're building, even a small contribution would really help. And more than that, like the patron, we want to start collecting content, uh, maybe mini guides or how to use the AI tools. So maybe we're going to have some bonus episodes there, some behind the scenes, some other ideas. We want to start to exploring this platform to collect things and maybe, hopefully, in a near future, build a community around. So we're launching this Patreon. We're going to put the link in the show notes. So let's try it together. I think it's going to be interesting. And yeah, that's it. Let's go to the Q&A. So we got a few questions from some of the audience that listen to us, and I'm going to start with two questions from Irina. The first one is a technical one. So, what's the difference between machine learning and LLMs? So, I can answer that one.
Yes.
So machine learning is basically a subfield of study under artificial intelligence. So it's an umbrella term, but it refers to algorithms, how algorithms learn from data to predict and make decisions. Large language models, or LLMs, are a specific type of machine learning that is trained on massive text data sets, and then they understand natural language and they can generate new information based on the big training data set. So that's the biggest difference between machine learning and LLMs.
I think the interaction between machine learning and LLMs are different. You know, for example, LLMs, you have a normally a chat, so you can ask things. And machine learning sometimes is under the radar. You know, so for example, there's a if you use Instagram, there's a machine learning behind it, so it's always collecting your information, the way that you use the app, and improving it the overall algorithm. Let's say. So I think that's another difference uh, that wasn't highlighted by you. So that was.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. The second question, also from Irina, what would be your top 10 AI tools, and how do you keep track of them? It's a really it's a tough one. Um, Perhaps you maybe the best way, I guess, to answer these questions is first, there's an overwhelming amount of tools out there and new ones coming every day, like we're basically been talking about. So it is impossible even to us to keep up. So, but of course, we have a few that we've been using daily, more, more more frequently. Maybe we're not going to go to 10, but we can mention two or three. And if you want to start, I have some of mine that I would like to highlight. But if you want to start with yours,
Yeah, I think for me the my favorite one is ChatGPT. I think people should try it. As you mentioned, like Google launched a lot of tools, and I think I saw a lot of people using Gemini because it's easier, for example, for them just to enter on Google and use it. So I think to start, I would recommend you to do that. You know, and then all the Google new tools, you know, the View 3 for me, it's quite impressive. So the results are getting in a good level of. I would recommend people to try it. And Claude is a good tool too. Perplexity, I have a controversial. uh, I like it because they give you the source and they give a lot of information related with what you're asking. But sometimes I have tried to find in the links what they mention in the results, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know.
I have mixed feelings with it.
Exactly. It's not a. I don't trust like 100% on the perplexity. So always check the source before using it like blindly. You know. So that's my recommendation. And Midjourney, I think it's an impressive tool like for generating images. Um, yeah, I think that's my recommendations. I think I talked about five of them or six. So
ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Midjourney, and Gemini.
and
That's more
Google,
or less
yeah,
what you.
Google tools in general.
Yeah, I think we're kind of overlap a bit. So, of course, one of my favorite tools the last couple of months has been Notebook LM. I just mentioned it before, and again, I've been using it a lot, and I think it's fantastic. You should all give it a try. Of course, it's the free version is a bit limited. I think you can send three. or you can generate three podcasts out of different documents per day on the free version. But you should definitely check it out. Notebook LM is fantastic. Then I have it's not necessarily a tool, but it's also Google. That's what I mentioned before. That Google is kind of like positioned themselves into this multi-platform AI tool where you get access to different tools. This is actually not. It's called Google Studios, so it's not necessarily a tool. It's basically a developer tool that it's used for it's for developers or people that want to work with AI and the APIs to test some of the Google tools. So you can test their image generation. You can test VO2. They haven't allowed VO3 yet there, and but then they have a feature that you can screen that you can share your screen with an AI chatbot, let's say, and then it acts as a tutorial guidance. So for me, that is fantastic. So let's say you want to do something in Google Sheets or Excel, but you don't know how to do it. So you today would you would Google a way to do it, or maybe you would go to YouTube and try to find a tutorial where somebody actually does something similar, so you can try to figure that out. Now with this tool, you can basically share your screen, and then the AI looks at your screen, knows where your cursor is, and talks to you. So you can basically ask, okay, I want to do this in Google Sheets or Excel, and then it's gonna tell you what to do. Oh, click here, find this option, select this option, and then most likely it's gonna work. And I tested with different tools like Figma, which is very design oriented tool, with DaVinci Resolve, Google Sheets, and it all worked really well. Like it is a remarkable tool. It's crazy because it's free until now, because it's a testing tool. So I urge you, all of you that are listening, to give it a try. I think it's gonna definitely change the tutorial industry on YouTube, because it's really good.
That's amazing because even though we have so many different tutorials on YouTube, uh, it can never compete with something that is automatically and then understands what is your problem, like looking at your screen, because I think it was last week I was trying to search for a specific problem. I don't remember which software it was, and I couldn't find it. So it was super hard until I get it in the point. So I think I lost like some hours like looking for a solution. And
Why you haven't been using Google Studio?
exactly, I should have tried.
Now you know.
Now I know.
Now you know. But the last one that you already mentioned, just to highlight, the last tool is would be Midjourney, I guess. I think it's the best image generation tool out there. Just you can compare with the last image generation version from ChatGPT, which is also quite good, but I think it has less limitations, and it's a bit more wild in the what you can generate. And for realistic images, is really good. So, and now they're getting better at maintaining the same characters, so you can quickly iterate in the images that you generate. So I also recommend Midjourney. I think they're pretty good too.
I can just mention
And
two other tools that I forgot to mention actually. There's Midjourney, that it's like a paid image generation, but there's Leonardo.ai that it's really good. It they improve like their styles. So lately I have used some of the, you get some free credits like every day, so you can use it to generate, I think, 20 images per day, something like that. You can really use the tool for free. So I recommend this one. And I tried Runaway to move some images. They're really good. So I just want to mention that before we move on.
yeah, good call. So then the just last part of the questions is, how do you keep up with these things, or how do you remember? Because I think that one of the biggest issues is that there's so many tools that it's hard to remember. So I have just one tip for this: that start with one, use it a lot, try different things, and then if it makes your work easier, then it's going to be natural from that point on that you're going to start remembering that you can use it, and then you move to the next one. So don't try all of them at the same time, because that can be overwhelming, and then you also need to have a purpose to use it, right? So it's good, it's easier if you try one and then see how you can actually incorporate it into your work, or even into your for personal use, right?
Yeah, I think that's the useful tip, because it's easy to get overwhelmed with so many information, and every influencer, they just that you see on Instagram, TikTok, they always say like, "This is the end of this tool. This tool is a killer." I don't know, you know. So it's always this new and this killer thing that we're gonna change the market forever. So don't get into these waves. Just like focus on what make you productive. So ChatGPT is the tool that make me more productive. So I'll focus on that, get a specialist in that, and use it uh, every day, or any time that I need it to have some prompt answers. Let's say.
Cool. So we have a question here from Eduardo. If you could define one single quality of humans that would be the most critical to cultivate as AI advances, what would it be? I think it's, if I have to choose one, it's critical thinking, because AI is very good at executing things, but analyzing and curating what AI outputs is, it needs to be done by a human, and then we have to exercise our critical thinking to judge if that answer or that idea or that potential solution for a problem makes sense with all the context as us as humans have, right? So for me it would be critical thinking. I think that's the biggest one. It's essential for business decisions, right? So if AI is going to automate a lot of things, somebody will have to be in charge of the the decisions, uh, and that most likely will be a human. Maybe some small decisions AI agents will take, but not the big ones. Who is to blame if AI suddenly decided something really big makes a lot of damage? So we need a human in the loop, right? Always, and that human in the loop needs to be really good at critical thinking to analyze and understand that that decision is the right one to take.
So I agree with you, because when we think about AI and how it's developing and changing things, we always need to curate, as you said, like we need someone to be in charge of it. So if we need to turn it off, the someone needs to do it anyway. So we need people who taking care of it somehow. And I think critical thinking is crucial, because not all the information that we get, for example, from ChatGPT, they can be used as the way the outcome is showing you. So you need to reflect and need to redo some prompts and ask again ChatGPT, refine all this information. When we lose that, then we are screwed, to be honest. Like, so we need to think before using it and after using it. So we need to be there somehow.
So our recommendation would be critical thinking. Double down that. Learn how to be more critical. Understand the context of decisions, strategic thinking, and then that's which is part of critical thinking. That I think that's definitely not going to go away
Yeah, and
anytime
read
soon.
and educate yourself. That's the way that you keep up, like, with the critical thinking. Question things. Don't just accept things. So that's the way.
So moving on to the next question, Vinicius sent a question about the AI bubble. So when will the AI bubble burst, and when that happens, which companies do you believe will remain?
That's the predictions that we were trying to to not get in touch with it, but it's to be honest, like I do agree that there's a bubble. That's, for example, OpenAI. They generate $10 billion per year, but they spend $14 billion per year. So the, there's $4 billion missing, in the every year. So at some point it's gonna blow. Something's gonna happen to these companies. So I believe the big ones, for example, Google will survive because they have a lot of money, so they can invest. I believe Grok now it's gonna survive because Elon Musk is putting a lot of money on it, and the same as OpenAI, I think is gonna survive. Facebook, I think is gonna survive. Midjourney, I think it's too big now for to be done, to be gone. But I don't know. It's just guessing. It's just guessing. I can be wrong with that. So
Yeah, I think we'll. The scenario resembles a lot the dot-com bubble, right, in the 2000s, where there was everybody wanted to, the internet is the new, people buy on the internet. So there was like a million e-commerce and websites trying to sell things online, and then at some point the bubble burst and a lot of companies went bankrupt. So there was a yeah, and only the big one, the ones that survived were the ones that had a solid product, or they were trying to solve real problems, right? And I think it's going to be the same now with AI. And but hard to say when this bubble will burst. But I think we will know it when the media it's good. There's going to be a lot of AI companies bankrupting at the same time, and then we will know that we're the bubble is bursting. I guess that's going to be our cue to
yeah,
see.
and there's something that we haven't mentioned, but for example, in that report, the 2027 report, they talk about AGI. When we reach AGI. So if, for example, one company gets there before others, they might break the others. So I think they're running towards the AGI. So the AGI might be the burst of the whole bubble. And even talking about the world's economical or even the political scenario. So it might be something huge in the geopolitical scenario if some country gets there before the other one. So um, and we don't know what can happen. So maybe that will be the turning point, for this technological war. Let's say.
It's good that you mentioned AGI because we can contextualize what it is, because that's the next and last question from Elio. It's a bit of a philosophical question, but then we can contextualize AGI because not everybody knows. So Elio sent a question asking, if AGI self improves, how do we know if we're still in charge? So first, let's contextualize what AGI means, right? AGI means artificial general intelligence, and refers to an AI system that with the ability to understand, learn, and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks to the same level as us humans. Today, we have what is so-called narrow AI, because it's limited to translating languages or generating images or answering some questions. But it is also limited to a specific domain, because its training data is specific. So image generation, there's just uh, they have been trained with a lot of images, but they are not trained also with other things. So AGI would be general purpose. So it's the ability that to it will have the ability to transfer skills and reasoning from one area to the other without needing to be retrained from scratch. That's the biggest difference. So, well, yeah. Do you want to
No, no, just
say something?
my question. I have a question on top of this. Are we in charge right now, like, of all our decisions? Anything that we want to make? Because if you think about it, we have since the social media were like released and improved, they have algorithms that take care of any content that we watch. You know what I mean? So are we in charge of these things? We just accept, on Instagram or TikTok when we scroll, we are accepting the next content. We might just like pass through, but we watched some stuff that we don't know. We didn't choose about that. So the question that I have for Elio actually, or maybe for you and for everyone who's listening to us, are we in charge right now? Are we in charge of our decisions? Like when we choose a video on YouTube, did you really chose that video, or did they recommend you to watch that video? No.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think we're in charge at all. And those social media companies, they created mechanisms to, because their value, right? The more you stay on the platform, the more money they make because they can sell more time and audience to their advertisers, so they make more money with advertising basically. So their ultimate goal is to keep you glued to the screen or to consume that content. So everything they do is tailored for that to happen. And so we're definitely not in control. We're being manipulated every day, and it's hard, right? It uses a lot of mechanisms that uh, rewire our dopamine system,
Exactly.
and then we get it's addictive, right?
Yeah.
But in regards to AI, we're who are in control? The big tech companies, right?
Yeah.
They they are developing these tools, and we don't have that much of a say. The only way we can protest or make some changes to stop using those tools, and then all of a sudden, if they don't have an audience, but there is real gain, right? It's a bit of a paradox because there is you have for the average user, right? Maybe for companies, they cannot adopt and see massive value added or a massive increase in productivity in an enterprise level because of the scale. But for us, it already is a time saver. So it's hard also to opt out and not use these tools if the whole world is actually moving towards that direction. Is basically not having a phone these days, right?
Yeah.
What we need to be mindful is that how we can regain some control on a personal level. And I guess that's just for social media, is limiting the amount of time you spend on social media or, and yeah, but I guess the question is a bit more profound. It's more related to controlling another form of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think if we think about how much we control other species, right, leveraging our superior intelligence, I think if we create something that it's more intelligent than us, we will lose control, and we won't even be able to notice if they are manipulating us or if they are actually more intelligent than us, because if something is more intelligent, it's beyond your comprehension anyway. So then I think by pursuing AGI, we will have to accept the fact that we're going to lose control.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, sorry, you wanna finish your thoughts?
No, no, go ahead because I'm just gonna make a complementary add-on to that. But because I think I have some thoughts on how far we are from AGI.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how far we are actually, because I don't know if we have access to the top AI tools, and maybe we are not gonna get there, because I believe when someone reaches AGI level, probably the government will take care of it, because it's gonna be probably
It's gonna be a
a
weapon.
weapon. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a weapon. So we need to think about this. I think with AGI self improves, we're definitely not gonna be in control anymore. We're gonna just need to see if we're going through a pathway that we can survive, somehow.
Now you're being the doomer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I kind of changed my opinion the last couple of months about AGI. I think there's definitely too much hype. These companies, all of them, OpenAI, Anthropic, they all burning money, which means that they need to get more money to continue existing and to continue driving innovation or researching these tools and then the next evolution of LLMs or AI itself, right? So they are painting this really absurd image that we're like, how many times Sam Altman from OpenAI said in the last year that since we've been talking about AI, that we are like, AGI is coming. It's coming next month, maybe.
Yeah,
He's just bullshitting out. I mean, I think we're far away. And the reason I think we're far away from it is because how essentially how these tools work, right? They are not intelligent. We just think that they're intelligent because they mimic natural language. So we have a very um, we are biased in our interpretation because they speak like us. So at
yeah,
some point it gets distorted, and you forget about it. The thing that how AI works is basically predicting the next word in a
yeah,
sentence. The biggest difference between AI and LLMs as we know today, or ChatGPT, is the transformer technology that gives it context. Because before they would just predict words, and they would create a reasonable sentence, but it wouldn't make sense to what you asked. But now, because they understand
yeah.
context, then it feels real.
Yeah, but do they need to be intelligent? Like, because if you think about it, like if they are just like doing the effortless thing and trying to survive at some point, because there are some cases that they're taking decisions of copying itself in a different server to survive, even though they want to be deleted or something like that. So they don't need to be intelligent, they just need to be efficient, so they need to just think, okay, humans are not needed. So if that happened, somehow, or if they can manipulate algorithms, they can change perceptions, because that might be one way, even though they're not intelligent, but they just need to be efficient somehow, because we know that we want to be more sustainable as human beings. We want to make things less impactful for the world, for other stuff, but we are not succeeding in that point. So if you train the machine to improve these things, they might say, okay, the humans are the problem, so that just put them away. And that's the question: do they need to be intelligent, or just they just need to be efficient?
Yeah, I think you don't need a lot of intelligence at this stage to make a lot of damage, right? So and things are moving super fast, and then I like you said before, maybe we have never been in
Yeah,
control, and with the speed of these things, without investing in security measures to prevent something from going bad, we're gonna I think we're gonna see it, something bad, big thing bad will happen, maybe for us to change our behavior around these tools, but time will tell.
yeah,
But I think it's just fascinating. I still think it's a remarkable technology. Even if it's not AGI, it's already very valuable in so many levels. So, but I think there's a lot of marketing in the whole AGI narrative.
Yeah, we might never get there, like, to be honest, like, because as you said, like, intelligence is quite of it's a hard concept to define, I don't think even scientists that study the brain, if they can define for us like what is intelligence, like, how do you define if you were intelligent or not? I mean, like, not you, but I mean, like, objects, or animals, or even us, like, how do you define that? What is intelligent? How, where does it come from? Like, does it come from the brain? Does it come from a soul that we don't know if we have? So this kind of stuff. So it's hard to define. So how can you say that the computer is more intelligent, or if they are conscious about what they are doing? So I think that's so many levels that we don't understand. So that's a dangerous tool to play around. But at the same time, I feel that it's kind of hard to say in a level that we reach like this general intelligence. So I don't know if I went to another thinking, but
Yeah, I think we need to understand. We don't even understand ourselves what intelligence is, right? And then there are some people that say there's different levels of intelligence. Some intelligence measured by IQ tests. These machines can beat IQ tests, but they are also trained with all the results of IQ tests. So for them, it's just go into their memories and then just bring that answer back, right? So what we're doing here, like how we're measuring
yeah,
intelligence, if we don't even know where conscience comes from, right? So we don't even understand ourselves. But yeah, I think this is a long
yeah,
conversation,
definitely.
and but I hope we answer the questions. I think we're way beyond the time. I think we have a very interesting. It was a very interesting uh, episode, like going back and looking into 1 year of making this podcast happening. We just want to thank you that listen to us and then have been following our journey. Thanks for the support and thanks for being here and listening to us and being part of our journey. And yeah, stay tuned for the next year. We're planning a lot of interesting stuff and a lot of experiments. So check that out and see you next week. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It's free and helps us a lot. This way, it can help us also reach new listeners. Oh, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to stay up to date on our latest episodes. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us at hello@humanaixp.com or connect with us on Instagram. Thanks for listening. See you next week.